Welcome to Sage Audio. Today let's look at timing effects like a pro. But first, if you have a mix that you need to have mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. How to time compression. Compression can be timed just like any other effect with time parameters. Now to do this, divide 60,000 by your session's BPM to get 1/4 note in milliseconds. This value, or a multiple or division of it, could be used as the attack or the release time, or as both. So say I want my compression to occur after 1/4 note and to last for a half note. I could enter these values into the attack and the release respectively. Let's take a listen using this Eventide Omnipressor and try both its compression and expansion settings. Options for timing reverb. Timing reverb is surprisingly a little bit more complicated. Now, since the tail end of the reverb often falls below our threshold for hearing, we need to either amplify the reflections so that they can be heard all the way through the decay, or set a longer RT60. Now, I typically do this second method and use the same 60,000 divided by the BPM to find a quarter note. Then I'll have to take a listen intently to determine how much more time is needed to compensate. So let's take a listen and let me know in the comments if you think this was timed correctly. If you're enjoying the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's free and it helps us bring you more videos. Second method for timing reverb. Following the ideas of the last chapter, it's hard to find ways to simply amplify reflections, especially in a time-based way. For that reason, I like to use the split EQ to amplify faster parts of the reverb with the transient bands and slower parts with the tonal. Now this way I can keep an in-time RT60 but still have reflections that are loud enough to be perceived by the end of the reverb tail. Let's take a listen. Variation and delay time. Delays are usually pretty easy to time since they come with sync functions and preset note values. That said, when using one, we have to consider what the delay tap will compete with. For example, if the snare hits at the same time as the delay tap, it might get masked. For that reason, I like to make my delay taps slightly off time so that they don't compete with other, often more powerful signals. Let's take a listen and notice how offsetting the delay time by about 10 milliseconds helps give the delay some room.
I smell the salt and feel the breeze, but in my heart I hear the calling.
Pausing instant compression. Before we start looking at slightly more advanced timing settings, know that if we want instant compression, meaning compression that occurs right when the signal crosses the threshold, we need a look-ahead function. Now, some compressors offer very short attack times, but this isn't ideal due to the distortion that it causes. Now, usually 1 to 2 milliseconds of look-ahead works well, and it's going to ensure that the full signal will be attenuated. Let's take a listen to compression with and without look-ahead and notice how the look-ahead enabled compressor captures more of the signal.
Out across the water, I smell the salt and feel the breeze, but in my heart I hear the calling.
In time, delay ducking. For this chapter, we'll need a delay and a compressor, both inserted on an auxiliary track. In short, what we're going to do is send the signal that we want to delay to this auxiliary track, but then sidechain the compressor to the original unprocessed signal. Now this way, whenever the delay is triggered, we can determine if and for how long the initial delay is attenuated. So say that I'm delaying my vocal, and I don't want any delay to occur for the first eighth note, we could set the compressor's release to this time in milliseconds, and use look-ahead to ensure that the full signal is being compressed. We'll make sure things like auto makeup gain are off, and that hold or RMS compression is disabled. Let's take a listen, and notice how we could use this method to attenuate our delay by a specific note length. In time, reverb ducking. If we want to duck our reverb, we could do essentially the same thing as the last chapter, just with whatever reverb that we want to use. So again, the signal that I want to reverberate is sent to an aux track on which I've inserted a reverb and compressor in that order. The compressor's release is set to a specific note, using 60,000 divided by the BPM to find a quarter note in milliseconds, then multiplying this value for longer times or dividing it for shorter. Now keep in mind that this will have a different effect than pre-delay. Let's take a listen to this being used on a vocal and notice how attenuating the reverb for a set length beforehand lets the dry vocal cut through.
Out across the water, I smell the salt and feel the breeze. But in my heart, I hear the calling.
If you're enjoying the channel, use the search box to watch more of our videos. Timing, harmonic distortion. This is something new that I've been trying. In short, I use the same setup as the previous two chapters and use a saturation plugin to introduce a fair amount of distortion. Then, with a compressor that sidechains the clean audio, I'll attenuate the saturation. Using the ideas that we covered about timing, I can now attenuate the saturation for a 16th note, an 8th note, or however long I want before it becomes audible. Now this is great if I want a signal's transient to stay clean, but have the end of it become more distorted. Let's take a listen.
Across the water, I smell the salt and feel the breeze. But in my heart, I hear the calling.
Impulse response and timing. One of the more interesting ways to introduce timing to your mixes is with impulse responses. These naturally mimic the timing and the frequency response of whatever gear that they're run through. In the case of reverb, this has the expected effect, but with other types of processors, the effect is really subtle. I like using the Studer tape impulse response to mimic how the electronics very subtly alter the timing of the transients. Let's take a listen. Creating accurate tape delay. Last up, let's create a super simple but realistic tape delay setting. In short, this effect is almost 166 milliseconds due to the natural spacing between the original tape head and the secondary one used to create the delay. So all you need to do is use 166 milliseconds as your value. Although this is simple, the exact timing isn't common knowledge, so hopefully this is helpful. Let's take a listen and notice how delay with this timing has a distinct tape delay sound.
Across the water, I smell the salt and feel the breeze. But in my heart, I hear the calling.
If you have a mix that you need to have mastered, send it to us to receive a free mastered sample of it with the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching.